Jimmy Uso just flipped the script on everyone watching and nobody saw this coming. After months of sitting back and watching his twin brother G climb to the top of the singles division, Jimmy finally made his move and the WWE Universe is still trying to process what just went down. G Uso won that battle royal fair and square, punching his ticket to face Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship, and just when everyone thought the Bloodline story was heading toward redemption and family reunion, Jimmy walked out and reminded us all that some wounds don't heal just because time passes. If you want to see how this family drama is about to explode into something we've never witnessed before, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now because you're not going to want to miss a single update on this situation. The Battle Royal itself was absolute chaos from the opening bell. 20 superstars entered that ring with one goal in mind, and G Uso proved exactly why he's been on fire since breaking away from Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. The way he moved through that match showed a different level of confidence, a different kind of hunger that we hadn't seen from him during all those years playing second fiddle to his cousin. Every elimination G scored brought the crowd to their feet louder than the last. He was hitting super kicks left and right, throwing guys over the top rope like it was nothing, and you could see in his eyes that this wasn't just about winning a match. This was about proving he belongs at the top of the card as a singles competitor, not just as half of the greatest tag team in WWE history. When it came down to the final four, the tension in that arena was thick enough to cut with a knife. G was in there with 3 other hungry competitors who all wanted the championship opportunity just as badly as he did. The crowd was split between chanting his name and losing their minds every time someone almost eliminated him. There was this moment where G was hanging onto the ropes by his fingertips, one foot already touching the floor, and somehow he managed to pull himself back into the ring and eliminate the guy who thought he had it won. That's when you knew it was G's night. That's when you knew nothing was going to stop him from getting what he came for. The final elimination came after a sequence that had everyone on their feet. G hit his signature splash from the top rope, caught his opponent at the perfect moment, and used the momentum to send him flying over the top rope. The referee's hand went up, the bell rang, and G Uso stood in the center of that ring as the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. His music hit and the place erupted. People were throwing up the ones, singing his entrance theme word for word, and G was soaking it all in. This was his moment. This was what he'd been working toward ever since he finally stepped out of Roman's shadow and decided to make a name for himself. The celebration was genuine and raw. G climbed every turnbuckle, pointed to the crowd, and you could see the emotion on his face. Years of being told what to do, years of following orders, years of being just another soldier in Roman's army, all of that was behind him now. He was heading to the biggest match of his singles career and he earned it on his own terms. The commentary team was putting him over huge, talking about his journey, his transformation, and how he's become one of the most over superstars on the entire roster. Everything was perfect. Everything was exactly how it should have been for a babyface who just won the biggest opportunity of his career. Then the music stopped and the arena went quiet. Not the good kind of quiet where everyone's waiting for what comes next. The uncomfortable kind of quiet where something feels wrong. The Titantron flickered and Jimmy Uso's face appeared on the screen. The crowd's reaction was mixed because nobody knew what to expect. Was this going to be a brotherly congratulations? Was Jimmy coming out to celebrate with his twin? The look on Jimmy's face said otherwise. There was no smile, no pride, no happiness for what his brother just accomplished. What we saw instead was something cold, something that's been brewing under the surface for months while everyone was focused on other storylines. Jimmy started talking and every word felt calculated. He didn't waste time with pleasantries or fake congratulations. He got straight to the point and reminded everyone watching that while G was out there becoming the crowd favorite and getting all the attention, Jimmy was the one who stood by Roman through everything. Jimmy was the loyal one. Jimmy was the one who never turned his back on family. The way he said it made it clear this wasn't about the bloodline anymore. This was personal between the brothers. This was about resentment that's been building since G made the decision to walk away and do his own thing. The camera cut back to G in the ring and his whole demeanor changed. The celebration was over. The smile was gone. He was staring at that screen with a look that said he knew this was coming eventually but hoped it wouldn't. Jimmy kept going, talking about how G abandoned the family for cheap pop reactions and t-shirt sales. He talked about how G chose the approval of strangers over the bond they shared since birth. Every word was designed to cut deep and you could see it was working. G wasn't angry yet. He was hurt. That's what made this whole thing hit different. This wasn't heel versus babyface. This was brother versus brother with real emotion behind it. Jimmy said something that really drove the knife in deeper. He told G that winning that battle royal doesn't mean anything because when it comes time to face Gunther, G's going to realize he can't do it alone. He's going to look around for backup and nobody's going to be there because he burned those bridges. Jimmy said he could have been in G's corner for the biggest match of his life but instead he'll be watching from catering, and when G fails, when Gunther destroys him like everyone knows he will, Jimmy will be right there to say he told him so. The words hung in the air and the crowd didn't know how to react because part of them knew Jimmy had a point even if they didn't want to admit it. Then came the twist nobody saw coming. Jimmy said he's not content to just watch from the sidelines anymore. He's tired of waiting for G to come crawling back admitting he made a mistake. Jimmy announced that he's entering himself into the championship picture and he's going to make sure that whether G wins or loses against Gunther, the outcome won't matter because Jimmy's coming for that title too. He said blood might be thicker than water but gold is thicker than blood, and he's done putting family before his own ambitions. The challenge was laid out clear as day. Jimmy vs. G is happening and the World Heavyweight Championship is going to be right in the middle of it. The implications of this are massive for multiple reasons. First, this sets up a potential triple threat situation if G actually beats Gunther, which would be the first time these brothers have fought each other in a singles match with a world title on the line. Second, this adds a psychological element to G's match with Gunther because now he's got to worry about what Jimmy might do. Is Jimmy going to cost him the match out of spite? Is Jimmy going to wait until after and attack him? The mind games have already started and G hasn't even gotten his championship match yet. What makes this situation even more complicated is the bloodline factor. Roman Reigns has been rebuilding his faction with Solo Sikoa running things in a completely different direction than Roman ever did. The question everyone's asking is where do Jimmy and G fit into that equation now? Jimmy seemed to be distancing himself from the current bloodline but he also made it clear he never betrayed the original concept of what Roman built. G wants nothing to do with any version of the bloodline but now his brother is forcing him to confront family drama right when he should be focused on the biggest opportunity of his career. The timing of Jimmy's announcement was strategic and that's what makes this whole thing brilliant from a storytelling perspective. He didn't interrupt the battle royal. He didn't cost G the match. He let G win because he wanted G to taste success before he ripped it away. That's more cruel than just attacking him or interfering. Jimmy wants G to hope, to dream, to believe he's finally made it, and then Jimmy wants to be the one who proves that G can't survive at the top without family watching his back. That's personal. That's the kind of heat that you can't manufacture with a scripted promo. That's real sibling rivalry elevated to the biggest stage in professional wrestling. The WWE Universe is split right down the middle on this situation. Half the fans are firmly behind G because they've watched his transformation into a genuine single star who connects with the audience on a level that most superstars never reach. They see Jimmy as the jealous brother who can't handle the fact that G succeeded without him. The other half understands where Jimmy's coming from because he's not wrong about G choosing the crowd over family. They see a man who stood loyal to his roots and got nothing but disrespect for it while his brother gets cheered for walking away. That's the kind of moral ambiguity that creates the best wrestling storylines. Social media exploded immediately after Jimmy's appearance. The trending topics were dominated by USO family drama and everyone had an opinion. Some people were pointing out that this has been building since G first showed signs of wanting out of the bloodline over a year ago. Others were making comparisons to other famous wrestling brothers who ended up feuding. The memes started flowing with people joking about family dinners being awkward and wondering what their parents think about all this. But underneath the jokes, everyone recognized that this is appointment television. This is the kind of storyline that makes people tune in every week because they need to know what happens next. The locker room reaction has been interesting too based on what various superstars have said in interviews and on social media. Some of the veterans have praised both brothers for committing to the story and being willing to go to uncomfortable places emotionally. Younger talent has expressed excitement about seeing where this goes because it elevates the entire main event scene. Even Gunther, the current champion who's supposed to be G's focus, acknowledged that this twist adds another layer to his upcoming defense. He welcomed the drama because it means more eyes on his championship and more proof that whoever wants to take his title has to overcome more than just him in the ring. Looking ahead, the next few weeks are going to be critical for how this story develops. G needs to respond to Jimmy's challenge and his response will set the tone for everything that follows. Does he try to reconcile and remind Jimmy that they're brothers first? Does he match Jimmy's intensity and make it clear that if Jimmy wants a fight, he'll get one? Does he try to ignore it and stay focused on Gunther? Every option has consequences and every option leads to a different path for both brothers. The beauty of this storyline is that there's no obvious right answer and that's what makes it compelling. The match with Gunther is still hanging out there as the immediate priority. That match was already going to be a massive challenge because Gunther is the most dominant champion in recent memory. He's destroyed everyone put in front of him and his title reign has been defined by making top stars look ordinary. Adding the Jimmy factor turns this into a situation where even if G wrestles the match of his life, external factors could cost him everything. That's drama. That's tension. That's what keeps people invested in the outcome. Then there's the question of what happens if G actually wins. Does Jimmy immediately cash in his opportunity somehow? Does he attack G during the celebration? Does he wait and let G have his moment before systematically dismantling him over the following weeks? Jimmy's already proven he's patient enough to wait for the right moment, so there's no telling when or how he'll make his next move. That unpredictability is what's going to keep everyone on the edge of their seats. The USO family legacy is now at a crossroads. These brothers revolutionized tag team wrestling together. They main event WrestleMania as part of the Bloodline story. They're future Hall of Famers without question, but now they're writing a new chapter in their story, and this chapter is about individual ambition conflicting with brotherhood. It's about what happens when two people who've done everything together suddenly want different things, and those things put them in direct competition. The stakes have never been higher and the emotional investment has never been deeper. This situation is payback time in every sense of the phrase. Jimmy feels like G owes him for years of being the reliable one while G got to be the breakout star. G's about to learn that success comes with a price, and sometimes that price is paid in family relationships. The championship is almost secondary to the personal drama at this point because titles come and go, but the bond between brothers is supposed to be forever. Watching that bond get tested and possibly broken in front of millions of people is the kind of storytelling that transcends wrestling and becomes something people will remember for years. The WWE creative team deserves credit for building this slowly and letting it develop naturally. This wasn't a sudden turn that came out of nowhere. The seeds were planted months ago with subtle moments where Jimmy looked frustrated or conflicted. The audience just didn't pick up on it because they were focused on other storylines. Looking back now, all those moments make perfect sense, and that's the mark of good long-term storytelling. Everything has led to this point, and everything that happens next will be a direct result of choices these characters made along the way. Make sure you stay subscribed to this channel because the USO family drama is just getting started, and we're going to break down every development, every promo, every match, and every twist as this story unfolds. This is the kind of storyline that defines careers and creates legendary moments, and you're not going to want to miss a single second of what's coming next.